And it looks like it worked. We're live. Welcome, everybody, to your favorite weekly series, Grace Under Pressure, where we interview some of our favorite royal consorts from around the known world. This week, we have Duchess Cainnleach of the Outlands. Next week, we have Duchess Isabel Grant of Artemisia. But for now, let's meet our hosts.
Yes, but I am going to pause and say, because I'm also the tech support for tonight, I'm watching to make sure that we're actually live. So before it says it's not allowing access to my camera. So I don't know that we're actually live. So I'm going to stop and try this again.
It's showing as live right now on the page.
Okay, but can you see me?
I can, in all your beautiful glory.
Oh, well then, I'm not going to worry about it. So I hope some people will pipe up and leave comments so we can actually verify that there's no issue.
Looks like it worked.
All right. Okay, so there we are. We're good. Okay, thanks everybody. I needed to make sure we were actually live because we've learned the hard way that sometimes we're not. And that's not fun because then we have to go back and do the interview over again. And it, all that lovely spontaneity is gone. So welcome this week and every week to Sir Joel de Grace, now of Callantyre, who is inspired by his very patient Lady Aniela. And tonight is probably fueled by, wait, let me guess, something that was on sale.
No.
Oh.
This week is sponsored by a passion fruit pink guava gosa. It's a sour beer called Ring Around the Gosa.
I was gonna guess that it was something with a fruity palate, but yeah.
Don't worry, that's backups. I still do have the other ones.
Okay. So. Tonight, since we're in the land of Costco, I'm inspired. I am being fueled by some hard seltzer, which is very inexpensive and doesn't taste like cough syrup.
And they're amazing. And we are joined, as always, by Duchess Dagmare, who is my favorite heckler and new friend that I've made during this pandemic. She started off as a princess of Sinagua, and she went on to have 2 reigns in the West with her husband and consort, Duke Warren Wilson. Anityre. I said Anityre.
Not in the West.
No, I said Anityre. You just heard me wrong. No. I was trying to do that off the top of my head, so I thought I was doing pretty good.
It's really good. I mean, even for being wrong, at least it was pretty close. So
geographic? No, I'm sorry. I screwed that up. I'm going to get good, suck less.
Anityre is a direct child of the West, so we have many things in common. So, yes. So we'd like to extend a special thank you every week to Ashaxi and Rifkin, who host us on the Sisters Interview Network and have really kept this lifeline of wonderful online content going, not just for Anityre, but for people across the known world through their various live casts. And they have launched a new one called Upping Your Game, I believe it's called, where they're having folks that just are really good at bringing everyday beauty and innovation to their kit and their gear and their just SCA life in general, and they're interviewing those folks. That's a really cool new series. And of course, they have the Branch of Laurels and the Murder of Dukes, and they've also interviewed all of the Lions of Anityre, or the ones that would consent to it anyway. And those are all great. Look for that content online, and all of the other great content being produced across the known world right now is really exciting. So we feel really fortunate to be hosted by them, and they do a lot of the legwork to make sure that these live casts keep going. So thank you. And Joel, if you could please introduce our esteemed guest.
Oh, I would love to. Everyone at home, thank you so much for joining us. You know how much we appreciate your time and joining us for these conversations. This week, we are lucky to be joined by Duchess Cainnleach of the Outlands. I was going to try and actually say your whole name. I didn't practice enough.
It's okay. Gaelic. So it's Duchess, Cainnleach, Ooster of Glendalough.
Yeah, that was exactly how I was going to say it. So,
Yeah.
yeah. She Duchess Cainnleach reigned in 2002, 2004. She was also a landed baroness from 1997. Hold on, I gotta get my notes. 1998 to 2001. She was recognized as a pelican in 2006 and as a laurel in 2009. Your Grace, thank you so much for joining us. You know you're near and dear to my heart because of our relations there. Someone just rang my doorbell, so my dogs are freaking out in the
Borking
background.
galore. Bork.
I'm going to go ahead and mute this.
Yeah, we're all dog households on this call, and we all have our own strategies for dealing with dog borking. And in our household, borking is barking that has no purpose.
We have that.
Dorky barking. Yeah.
We actually, because we live in the country down a long lane, we actually have a driveway alarm. So when the Amazon guy comes, all 4 Newfoundlands are just so happy. So let's hope Amazon doesn't deliver tonight.
And if it does, we all understand. So but this is just something that happens with dogs.
You get to hear 4 Newfoundlands.
Yeah, that's probably a novel experience. So
it is. It keeps the mountain lions away.
There you go. Yeah, we call them cougars here.
Yes.
Some cougars got my aunt's her alpaca. Her alpacas.
I love alpacas. They're all over up here.
So her morbid little niece got a skull out of it. I'd never seen an alpaca skull before. That was kind of interesting. But it was pretty devastating. And it's, of course, it's an issue whenever we're living where they were used to living. So
it's their land, and we are just here. We have in the summertime, we have a couple bears. They're tagged and numbered. All of our local neighbors, because we're a little spread out. We all keep track and Facebook each other. Hey, bear number 317 is in your yard this week. So we're pretty aware of them, and the Newfoundlands are on an Invisalign on the property. Yep. So the deer walk right up to the line and say hi and tease them. Yeah.
That's really great. We definitely have bears in the greater Seattle area. We get juvenile black bears who are hitting it out, kind of doing their own thing. And
they're the goober ones. They make all the mistakes. Yes.
They end up in places they shouldn't, like dumpsters. Right. And
yes.
Family pools and things like that. Yeah. So, but it's cool,
beautiful. Yes.
And it's great to live in a place where we really appreciate wildlife.
Nature. Yes. Yeah. I don't right now. So not to make anyone jealous, but we do have 3 foot of snow on the ground from the last 2 snowstorms.
There's no envy coming to you from Seattle.
I was hoping somebody would say, gosh, darn it.
Maybe on the comments, in Seattle, if we got 3 feet of snow, we would completely shut down for weeks. And then there would be massive flooding and trees and landslides and all kinds of things. It does not sound like a good time to me, but I don't mind going to snow and looking at it and then leaving it there. So.
Well, and we are well prepared. We are not, unfortunately, when the weather goes bad and the electricity goes out, almost everyone is prepared. So there is that. They forced us to be prepared.
Well, so have you, we have actual questions related to the interview to ask you, but this is kind of related because have you always played in the SCA where you are living now? Tell us a little bit about your backstory to be in the SCA and where you are.
Okay, so that's a great question. When I started playing SCA in 90, I think I got my AOA in 92. We actually lived in the small western edge of Nebraska in the Panhandle, and I received my AOA from Cainnleach from their 12th night and at Lonely Towers, I think back in Lincoln or Omaha. Joel could help me with that. Lonely Towers?
No idea.
And
I
I
moved to Kingdom during a weird time. So
one of those local baronies. So yeah, I received my AOA there, and very small shire. I joined the SCA because I went through a divorce, and it was a very small rural area. I went to an invited meeting to a potluck at the local library, and took my two small boys with me. Single mom, two little boys, didn't have much of a social life. And I think it was that year or the following year, the Outlands actually negotiated a deal with Cainnleach because we were so far away from most of the kingdom, and most of the activities we attended were in Cheyenne anyway. So yeah, Cheyenne was about an hour and a half away. So the Outlands took over our shire. And so I have basically have been an Outlander my entire SCA career.
it's a good kingdom to be in too. Outlands is always near and dear to my heart. So
Yes, and we missed you so much. Before we got on, I asked, when can you come home?
yeah, yeah. I miss the Outlands. I miss Artemisia. Sorry, my dog is doing just something else right now in the background. So,
That's
but
okay.
we miss it. So yeah, Outlands, for anyone that hasn't been lucky enough to play with them, is just a very unique culture that is hard to find almost anywhere else in the SCA world. So
Well, I think a lot of it is the name Outlands. We kind of live out here in the mountains and desert, and sometimes, without a long distance of travel, yeah, we are the Outlands.
And if you didn't say it in detail already, how did you first find the SCA? Like, tell us about your first event.
It was in the Shire of Hinterland. Recently divorced and two little boys. We were invited by the local librarian because we always went to the library. And Mistress Kimmery, she actually recently passed away. So it was very sad. It really brings back long memories after you've played for 26, 27 years. But we went to the library to a potluck, small little get together. And it was a great place to get involved as a single mom with little boys. I had so much support, and it's really where I started. And I think 2 days after I went to their first little shire meeting, they handed me a shoebox of about $25 and said, we're going to need you to go ahead and get your membership. We need you as an officer. So I took the treasury. There were only 6 of us. So I ended up being an officer right out of the gate.
wow.
Yeah.
I probably would have been like, I don't know about.
Yeah, I didn't know what
What's
they
this
were talking about.
responsibility business you're talking about here?
Yeah, I had $25 in cash. That helped pay for the rental of the library, they told me. And then after that, we started going over to Cheyenne, and all of the people in Cheyenne that everyone in our kingdom would know, Master Reese, Mistress Aldith, Sir Mavericki, and his lady. We did everything with them. So, yeah.
That's very cool.
So, you got your AOA in '93. I looked.
93, I was close.
And then but within 4 years of getting your AOA, you became a baroness.
Right. So after, I don't know how long it was, playing in the local shire, I ended up taking a job in Longmont, Colorado, which really wasn't that far. So I literally went from Midwest, very Western Nebraska into the Denver area. I took a job, and I had met Giovanni before then because I had run a couple events in the Shire of Hinterland, but we were just friends for a really, really long time. And we dated. He actually moved to Colorado Springs, so we dated long distance for about 1.5 years. And then we moved down here. And at that time, the Barony of Dragonspine, which is Colorado Springs, it was time for a new set of Baron and Baronesses, and we ran. And Lady Cainnleach jumped right in. So Giovanni and I were the Baron and Baroness for about 3.5 years.
I'm actually going to go ahead and start our photos because there are some great early photos of you. Let me just.
All I can say is, ooh, I wish I was still that skinny.
Whatever.
So there we are.
Yeah, that was Baroness, probably around 98, 99.
It's great.
Yeah, I want to be that skinny. Oh, now that is actually my first reign as queen.
Oh, okay. They're a little out of order. Sorry. I was trying to.
No, that's okay.
Vintage of the photos. So.
No, that's fine. Queen.
With Newfie number.
That is actually Newfie number 1. That was Bruno. We actually rescued him from the pound 20 some years ago, and we've had lots of Newfoundlands since then. We rescue our Newfies, so we try to save the broken ones. That was Queen of Estrella with my first king. So my first king was Duke Malgwin. My husband was actually out in Ontario. Wait, where's Marin County?
That's in the West.
Okay, he was in the West working.
I'm not the only one that screwed that.
Yeah, close. So while we were Baron and Baroness, Malgwin was also the Baron of Kerto, which is Denver. So we had all become friends, and he wanted to enter Crown Tournament. So my husband was working out West, and I said, sure, I'll do it. And so my first reign was not with my husband, and that is Michael McBain, who's my Queen's champion. And that worked out really well. His favorite color is purple, and so is mine.
Perfect.
My favorite color too.
Yes. There's Baron and Baroness. That's up in the mountains here in Colorado Springs. And Baron and Baroness up in the mountains, Cripple Creek. That was Fields of Glory, and Michelina and Lycurgus, Duke Lycurgus, who is now passed, were the crown, and we were the hosting Baron and Baroness. So, oh, Queen, first reign, man, look at those bangs. Keeps that princess coronet all the way back.
Yep, there you go.
That's my pelican ceremony. And actually, that is His Majesty Bela, and his second queen, Countess Claudia. And that was up in the mountains too. That event, and Joel, you probably remember this, Baron's War.
Yeah.
Oh, no, wait, that might have been 20th. Because I was autocrat. 20th. So it's the same site, is why it's confusing. My pelican, for my body of work, probably I would say out of everything would be autocrating. I'm a manager by mundane, so autocrating just, kind of came naturally. It does.
That's also why you're the premier of Ragnar's Hammer.
I am. We actually, so Battlemore, which is our kingdom known event now, Inner Kingdom, my husband, the gentleman standing there in the picture with me, we and Mistress Bennett and Sir Madigan actually sat down and created that event. And so we were the premier autocrats, or the original ones. And so, yeah, that's our baby.
I just thought maybe you guys were getting fire truck rides.
Oh, this is an awesome story. That's 12th night in Denver, the Barony of Carta, and the fire alarms went off. We were out at Adams County Fairgrounds. So like everyone, you hold your events out in these big fairgrounds because they have big buildings. The alarms went off and they kicked us all out. Thank goodness the weather was good in January. And so we all stood around until we got bored because they wouldn't let us back in. So we actually went to the building next door. They were having a cat show. And we were all dressed in garb, and we went in and pretty much bombed the place and went around and held kitties. I have a picture. I am holding a Savannah cat that is almost as big as me. They're like, sure, you can hold my kitty. So yeah, that was an interesting event. We spent most of that day next door playing with kitties, and we're costuming. So the cat people were like, meh.
So now we have you processing, clearly, with another newfie.
Same newfie, I think. Yeah, nope, that's a different newfie. That's Xander. And a lot of the pictures you have are us processing. Giovanni has always believed that one of the best examples that he can lead to his squires, and Joel knows this, and everyone, is not to sit on the sidelines and enter every crown tournament until you can. I think that's important. And so after we reigned together, I was the Duchess and he was a Count. And he said, well, I'll probably be wanting to keep entering. There might be a day everybody eats the bad chicken and I'll be a Duke. So some of the tournaments I had him fight for other people. You know, after being a Baroness and Queen twice, I think it was a total of 7 years of service, basically. Mm-hmm. And with Princess time and Crown time. And I really felt like there were some really great candidates for him to fight for. While we believe in chivalry and the honor of his fighting for his love of his life, I'm pretty sure. You know, there were just some great women out there. So most of the pictures that you have on here, we are processing into a crown tournament. And you can tell he's getting grayer.
I love all the color in this photo.
Yes. So during the final round of our crown tournament, they do call up all the ladies of the rose. And so the women that are the finalists as the consort, the ladies of the rose stand with them just to support them, and kind of brings up all the excitement. And
yep.
So, and the fur hats everybody wears, a lot of them. I'm known for my Cainnleach fur hats. So that's just one of those things you do.
I'm super proud of my Cainnleach coat that I won. So
yes.
Look at this photo, Joel.
Yeah. Look at that hair.
Yeah, it's a little bit of difference in the timeline there, but you know.
Yeah.
You need a hat, clearly.
Well, I usually wear one. I haven't shaved myself yet with the backwards baseball cap picture, but yeah.
Good.
I think you look great with all that hair. And we're all looking serious because it's crown tournament.
That's right.
Speaking of serious, look at that.
Oh yeah. And that's a helmet head. I can totally tell he fought in that tournament. Look at that hair. Yeah. Another crown tournament with our full heraldry. I'm pretty sure most kingdoms do full heraldry, don't they, when they process in?
I think it depends. On tier, we have one of the lowest instances of knights with registered arms, apparently. in the known world. Somebody shared that tidbit in the comments during one of our previous interviews. And we have a lot of people from heraldic or non-heraldic cultures in Ontir, because we have to be different. So I think there are people who do a really good job with their franchise and, you know, making sure they always have banners and so forth. And there's other people for whom it's just not
as really prevalent. Yeah.
It's a super high priority, but we definitely see some of it. And some people just make it really special.
Yeah. So in our kingdom, you have to at least have your arms registered to enter Crown Tournament. And you do have to display them as you process. So there's been a couple times we completely forgot our banners at home, and we ran to Walmart with some Sharpie colored pens and drew our arms. They won't let you on the field without them.
Now, I have a question, actually, and I should have been asking this all along because I don't actually know how it's done in other kingdoms. Do you have a display board with everybody's shields?
We do.
See, and I don't know if does everybody do that in every kingdom?
I don't know. Joel would know. He's lived in the most kingdoms.
I've seen it done a few times, and I've seen it not done a few times. I know in Artemisia, the first crown I fought in, that was how they kept track of it, and the only way they were updating the populace at large was just taking pictures of the tree and moving it up. So, but yeah, I've seen it done. It wasn't every crown I've ever fought in or been around, but I've seen it done. I always thought it was really cool, especially because I just like showing off my arms. So
yes,
well, go ahead.
No, ours and Aidenvelt, I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
One of the things they did when they retired our last set of thrones was that one of the knights in our kingdom did a fundraiser and cut out shield blanks out of the wood from the thrones, and every former king was offered a set of those.
Wow.
And so I still have them to paint for children, but yeah.
You'll get to
I
it.
fought in a tournament in a while, so you know. But it was very cool, you know, because some of those things, they're really meaningful, and those little shield blanks are just a very cool tradition, and I really like it. I like that way you do become familiar with people's arms.
With their arms, right? And in recreating Middle Ages, I mean, they were known for their arms. They didn't know you by your name as much as if you were on the field, they knew who you were by what you were bearing on your shield. So yeah.
Well, and it's not a dig on anyone at all, but in the Outlands, it's really important because everybody wears a green tunic, lamellar, and bazabons. So
very true. That's not a dig.
That's not a dig. That's I have pictures of me in the Outlands special. I'm just saying.
Everybody uses different color duct tape to mark their knees, so you know that's how you know.
Oh, well, Artemisia always makes fun of us because they have kits and we have plastic.
Yeah, some of that's really driven by where you live, and
it is
the local. I mean, it's not just about culture; it's also about the geographic realities, you know, and what you have access to easily. I mean, there's just a lot of things at play.
Right, and how many armors you have that do it professionally. Yeah,
it's a lot more available than it was when I started in the SCA 30 years ago. You really had to know a guy. So
you did have to know a guy. Yep.
Here you are being presented again.
Crown Tournament again. I think we should just watch and see how great Giovanni gets.
Okay. I know that I have these in order. They might be in reverse order. Put these two together because I thought they were a great duo.
Oh, I love those.
Yeah, they're great. I mean, this is sort of the quintessential SCA, is getting to experience something like this, whether it's with your partner or your friend, or now that we have inspirational equality, you know, you can do it with your partner, irrespective of the type of relationship that you are in, and that's super special. Like this moment of being able to walk up as a fighter and present the person who inspires you is literally why the SCA was created.
I was just going to say that. This is where it all began. The guys went to the park to swing sticks. They invited their girlfriends. Girlfriends got kind of bored, so they started getting their friends to come. But it really comes back to the beauty and just everything about the SCA and the pomp and circumstance of we're all going to go out and we're going to fight and win, and then we get to be crowned. And when we explain it to our friends mundanely, it always begins with, you know, we have a king and queen. They win by combat in a tournament. Right. And, you know, we just probably, Giovanni and I are probably known for that exact thing. We really encourage everyone to enter and experience all of it.
Do you have open lists there, or do you have to
we actually have to write a letter of intent to our crown.
Yeah, and then we have open lists in Ontario. You can show up that day, and as long as you have your membership, and if you are from out of kingdom, you have to have permission from the crown.
The crown.
Otherwise, it's completely open. It's just very different, you know. So we'll have massive lists.
Oh,
I've been at events where we have 100 fighters in a crown list. So
and y'all are going to an Ontario crown.
You got to get permission from the crown, Joel. So
all right, I'll text him.
You can start lobbying.
I mean, how long does a tournament last with 100 entrants?
Well, the last crown tournament's still going on today. No. It depends on how many fields they have going at the same time. So there's typically 6 fields.
Wow.
But if there's fewer fighters, there's fewer fields, and then they just collapse the fields as the tournament goes on. And
yes.
You know, it's just, they're big, but it's also just this like massive wall of noise when the tournament starts, and it's really exciting, and the beginning goes really quickly, you know, but everybody gets to be in crown. Like everybody gets a chance to fight is kind of neat. But I also understand that it's not the culture that every kingdom has, and I get why. I really do. So, but they all process too. They all present themselves to the crown.
Oh, so that processional
is long.
Yeah. It reminds me of the Outlands prize tournament at Estrella, because there's usually 100 to 150, and we start out with all these fields and then break them down. But for crown, I just
but it's again, every kingdom has their own way of managing these things, and I think it's cool that inner kingdom, those differences occur, because it does really define some things about your kingdom. It really does.
It does. And I like the diversity of everything we do in all our different kingdoms.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Outlands usually does like 2 out of 3 like double elimination brackets. Artemisia does pooled lists, and then the winner from each pool goes on and fights in the semifinals. And yeah, different kingdoms do it differently. And it's always really interesting to see. Oh my gosh, I see some of my favorite people in this picture.
The format of on-tier crowns are up to the crown.
So
we've had all different kinds of formats.
Different weapon styles. Yeah, too.
So
this is a great picture. And it really gives you the example of what we were talking about. So Duchess Anna was queen. It must have been the final, one of the getting close to final rounds. And the gal that is standing in front of me is Mistress Bennett, and that's Solomea, Duke Elric's wife. And of course, Duke Lycurgus, can't miss the orange. And boy, I must have just became a duchess, because I still had long hair. Yeah, so yeah, look at the difference. That was at Battlemore, and that was probably not last year because we got it canceled. The year before. Battlemore is a beautiful site. Ah,
Daddy Bobby.
Daddy Bobby. And what am I looking? What did he say that I'm giving him that look? You know, he said something to me.
You never know.
I have no idea. Aw, Coronation. And that's Countess Gilliana. She moved to Aitenveld, but she was Duke Conan's queen. My newfie, you know, times are changing. They don't, you know, it depends on the building and the autocrats, and but there was always a newfie with me. There is always a newfie with me because it really, they're like therapy dogs. That's
And
Xander.
I see that the on-tier pottery purveyor has made it out your way because of the cup you're holding. That's a period cup in on-tier.
Yes, it should be. There's a couple of times we've gone through Seattle and spent any time there. Pike's Market?
Pike Place.
Pike, yeah.
Pike Place
And
Market, yep.
yeah,
The
but
original Starbucks, but there's much better coffee than Starbucks. I'm sorry, Starbucks. I love that you've always taken care of people and your employees get decent treatment, but there's better coffee in Seattle. There's better coffee most places. So
yeah,
I
well, you are the
said it.
connoisseur of coffee. If we did nothing and we moved to Seattle, it would be for the coffee because I'm a coffee girl.
We have great coffee here, but we can get it shipped to you. So that's something to keep
I
in mind.
might have to put in a request for something because boy, my husband gets tired of trying to find a different coffee for me that I will drink at the grocery store. With the pandemic, I've been to the grocery store once.
Wow.
For Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
I had to recently find a new brand of coffee because my go-to had some curious political affiliations, and so I had to stop supporting them, unfortunately. So I just had to find some new brands of coffee, and I'm still working through it. But Dagner, you'll be pleased to know that my consort actually is a 12-year partner of Starbucks.
Oh, well, there you go. So I know big corporations, there's lots of reasons to be, to scrutinize their behavior, but I can say that at least in the Pacific Northwest, a lot of people who work for Starbucks are really happy. And, that matters here because we have the great example set by Costco with the way it treats its staff. And people who work for Starbucks have always had health benefits, which is a really big deal. So, those are not political issues. Those are simple, like,
take care of your people. So. Yeah. Yeah.
So, but their coffee tastes burnt. So that's but I'm also kind of sensitive to it. So.
Okay, but my favorite coffees are the blondes.
Oh, the blondes are really good and they have more caffeine. So
exactly.
When in doubt, go light because you're getting more benefit from it, boys and girls.
Yes.
I will say that since the pandemic started, I'm mixing all my coffee with decaf because I can't sit at home and drink endless amounts of coffee. That is a really bad idea. And also when I go to SCA events, my apprentices and other people that support me know to hand me caffeine in the morning if they want to have a pleasant day with me around.
Exactly.
Otherwise, I may as well just go sit in the car for the rest of the day. It's just not going to happen.
I don't cope. And, we're stretched out in the Outlands. So it's usually a 2-hour drive no matter where we go. And I have the same friendships. They're waiting. They've already been to Starbucks and I have that. This is the perfect example is this picture. I'm smiling. I have coffee. My newfie is loving on someone or vice versa.
Yep. Yep. It's great.
So, right. Yeah. We are lucky.
Yep. I love the black eye in this photo. It really tells a story.
You like the what?
The black sky.
Oh, yes.
Like
That's a storm coming.
We have lots of events like this in Ontario where it's like it's sunny, but also you know that something terrible is about to happen and everyone's going to get drenched. So
Right. So Joel can tell kind of probably a better story about this than me. The second it starts getting dark, I now look for cover. While being queen with my husband. Gosh, Joel, that was when were you still living in North Shield as
No, yeah,
principality?
I was still in North Shield.
And you were
Uh,
principality.
yeah, yeah. So, and I actually still have that tabard that you guys gave me, by the way. I know exactly where that is. So,
That
okay,
is so
what's the
crazy.
story here? What's the story?
Okay,
wow.
so we traveled every weekend while we were crowned. And I'll get back to the black sky. Um, we did our summer reign. My first reign was a winter reign, so we did Estrella. Summer reign, we traveled a lot, and one of our favorite places to go was the Principality of North Shield, and that was Rapid City, South Dakota. It's straight up the highway here, and oh my gosh, how beautiful! The people were amazing, and that's where we met Joel. And we really formed a great relationship. So when we went to Penzic, we went to the North Shield camp and asked if they would fight with us during the war, and handed them all Outlands tabards. And boy, those are some great friendships and bonds. And anyway, so that was the same Penzic. And we were coming back from Merchants Row. A good friend of mine, Baron Lambert, and I and the retinue were walking down the pavement, and the sky started getting dark, and I had a mundane umbrella that was green and gold, and it was the coolest thing because you would, one of the little pop-up umbrellas that you put in your car. And we were walking down, the lightning started, and we were messing around. I had my crown on, and we were passing the umbrella back and forth and saying, "Ooh, no, you hold the umbrella. No, you hold it." And about that time, a bolt of lightning came down, hit the wire, the electrical wire, and bounced onto my umbrella. And no, it didn't bounce on my umbrella. I just handed it over. It bounced onto me. And it literally, I was struck by lightning. And quite the moment. We quick ran back to camp. I still had the long red hair that was in the earlier pictures, and the bolt of lightning took all of that hair and knotted it up on the back of my head as a bird's nest. They took like 3 hours, just strand by strand. And I laid on the bed and they said, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "I'm okay." And later on the evening, somebody asked me a question and I couldn't answer it. So they took me down to the medic tent. And sure enough, I had the entry, and they actually said wearing the crown saved my life, because it hit my crown and it didn't enter my heart. Instead, that electricity spread through my body, but I did have an exit point on my back hip, and I did have a burn.
Wow.
I was like,
that is so lucky. Did you buy a lottery ticket, or did you figure you had just burned it up in that moment?
there were a lot of jokes about all kinds of lucky things. Someone did go down to Merchants Row, and Joel had talked about this earlier, bought me a Thor's hammer. I wore it for the rest of the event. And then later on in the reign, at the end of our reign, we always have a competition called Windover Bard, and it's our kingdom bardic beautiful cloak, and the crown decides who gets it and will reign as our kingdom bardic for the next year. Anyway, most of them picked a theme up, and all of the entertainment was poems and songs about Duchess Sparky.
Great.
So
So
my nickname is
Now you
Duchess.
know to take cover.
Right.
Be
And I
lower
really-
than all the other metal things in the vicinity.
Everything goes up. And I'm pulling, even if I see two rapiers out on a field, I boogie over there and I'm like, we're going to go over here where that really nice schlager is not going to be conductive to you getting struck. And they all look at me like, you're a little weird. I do have PTSD, but it's a calm one. I just move away. I don't sit and cry in a puddle of water or anything. But those black skies, boy, keep an eye on them.
Wow, that's
So,
really
the guy who helped me build my very first kit out of North Shield, his name was Steelbender, at Armorer, and he got hit by that same bolt. But we were underneath one of the shades on the battlefield. He wore full plate at the time, and he was holding on to the upright of the shade that we were under. Same bolt came through because he was just standing there, all of a sudden, just like, yeah, and let go. And you could see it arc off of his van brace back to the metal centerpiece. That dude spent the rest of Pennsic walking around about how Thor had blessed him. And we're like, no, dude, Thor just tried to kill you. What are you talking about? Like, you need to calm down here.
I mean, potato. It's really
Potato murder, whatever. I mean, in mythology, it all gets kind
Norse
of mixed.
gods, what they're doing, teaching you a lesson or trying to, I don't know, something.
Oh, Dad, did I tell you what I got really, really excited about with Norse mythology, by the way?
No,
just
but I think I'm
learned
about to
recently.
hear it.
You're totally about to learn this for me. I learned recently that they have a god who is just a shit-talking squirrel.
Oh.
There
Yeah.
you go.
Awesome.
That was
Now,
the thing that I was really
why
excited
would you
about.
think of me?
Because you're my favorite shit talker, and you have red hair, and
I feel like I
love
should
you.
up my game.
I just called you a Norse god. That's a compliment.
What's the god's name?
Ratatask?
Gratitas.
Mm.
All
That's a
right.
thing. I'm
I'll
sorry.
have to figure out whether or not that's real or just from like the Asterix and Obelix cartoon.
No, it's a thing. It's a thing. We're
All
gonna
right.
look that up. All right.
All right. Well, in this particular photo, this is nice. So why don't you tell us what's going on here?
So at Battlemore, we do a procession of all past kings and queens that come. It's a pretty big event. And so they call you, this is actually Bela, I don't know, 2011. He was king. Anyway, they do a procession right before court. And so this was my first king, Malgwyn. And I actually do have a matching coronet to his. The one that was sitting with Xander in the Starbucks. Flip back to that one. Yeah, see, there's my matching coronet. It's a crenellated tower. It's really cool. Malgwyn made them for us. All right, now flip back. And see, his actually matches just different designs. And so they did a procession, of course, by order. So he took me up and we were all, that was a long day. I'm sure we had all been drinking a lot.
As you do at Battlemore.
And there's another Battlemore. Now, here's an interesting picture. So Susan in the gold, I don't know, it's like a gauzy Persian coat look. She was his third queen. And she has a crenellated hat too. So we all have matching coronets. She's a countess. And of course, we just added strawberry leaves to our county. So, and then of course, that's my dear friend, Duchess Gabrielle and then Duchess Katie from Maitenville. They all come to Battlemore and it's just so much fun. I'm sure we were sitting around drinking there too. I can tell by my dorky smile, I've been drinking.
And one thing to mention about Battlemore is that when you're drinking at that's like, it's like now 9 million feet elevation. So like one beer is enough to do a good job there.
That's true for me anyway. So probably I could just inhale the fumes off of other people's drinks.
Yeah.
So Battlemore is really about hospitality. It's one of those events that when we designed it, it was to really bring everyone together. And like Joel said, it's at almost 10,000 feet. So we're all practiced at drinking at that level. But one of the known things that makes it special is we believe that you should have town hall, big theme parties. Get everybody together so they're not all walking around encampments every night trying to find where all the cool fun is. Let's just bring them everybody together. And so every night we have a theme party. Chariot races, might be Roman night. But there's a lot of fun, and pirate nights and you name it. So we love our flatlanders that come because they're all cheap dates. You don't really have to buy that much booze for your party. Yeah.
No.
But
Some
we
of us are just tired of going to bed and waking up feeling, like
yeah, the older
something's-
we get,
yeah.
what we do, yeah, that does get harder. But I will say, having a party that is in a town hall, checking everyone in, checking IDs. We always have our Kingdom Seneschal do it, putting a band on them before you can serve them. I'm sure there's cheaters out there, but we all police each other and try to keep our drinking space safe. So it's worked out well. Okay, so that's the same procession, only this time I'm with my husband and he's blowing kisses to somebody, which isn't surprising.
I'd say it was probably me, but I think I was in Iraq when that one was
I
taken.
know, I think you were probably overseas.
I think I was, yeah.
Yeah. And that's Duke Lycurgus sitting in camp. There's a Newfie under his chair. Sometimes we take all 3 Newfies with a fold out swimming pool and we truck in water for them. They love it.
I love this.
Okay, so this, yeah, there's my crenellated hat, but Battlemore, well, it started before Battlemore, at 20th year. A good friend of mine created a coffee house, and we just did it every year at our big events called Kivahan. So we set up huge tents with all the rugs, very similar to some of them at Benzik. Only we had something in mind there. It's always a fundraiser. So the Kivahan grew. We started out small. That chair is in the Kivahan camp. And that picture was taken by Mistress Amber, one of the local photographers, because people came by and they used that chair and she would take pictures of them. But I was already there, so. And we do fundraising at Kivahan. We sell the mugs. So we'll
Which
get
are
to
later
that.
in the presentation.
Yep.
I've got a whole bunch of those.
Do ya?
Yeah, I've got a few
Yeah.
behind.
Let me know when you need more. Looks
So-
like another yeah, see, I bangs there. So that
I
was
like
quite a
the
well.
fabric that your gown is made out of. That's really cool.
It's silk and it's stamped.
Yep.
And then I took it to the dry cleaners and they dry cleaned all the gold stamp off of it.
No.
Yeah, it was awesome.
That figures.
That's why I just don't wash my stuff. Problem solved.
I never wash silk. I always dry clean it. Mistress Bennett, good friend of ours.
I wash everything.
Oh, I can't.
Love it.
Oh, can't.
I don't put it in the washing machine.
No. Yeah.
I hand wash it.
So some of my undergarments I hand wash just because you can get them cleaner, I think. But yeah, I wear only silk. So yeah. There's another crown tournament.
Yep.
Yeah. Only Giovanni was fighting for Mistress Bennett, not me.
You can always tell in these photos when people are watching a crown tournament because it's just an intensity that you don't see very many other places. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, there's the same list, it looks like. And Duke Malwin is behind me, my first king. And no, it's a different one, different tournament. And then Bennett again. And then that's Duke Ulrich. And yeah, I don't know. looks like we're still bored and watching Crown Tournament. Oh, just a court at Battlemore. You know, it's a big event, and that's just a great picture of someone that's near and dear, and she's getting called into court.
Well, and the biggest Battlemore had what, like 1,200 people or something like that, a little bit more than that?
Yeah, we've had him up to about 1,400. So yeah.
So it's a big event.
It is. Takes a lot of porta-johns. I always laugh because the bigger the event gets, the numbers get bigger. But you know, putting $20,000 down on a deposit for porta-johns is real. Mm-hmm. Better be ready to get the right number. Was one of my students. We were at an event, indoor, obviously. Yeah. Aw. So, Queen's Prize.
Yep.
Queen Danielle.
Oops, sorry.
No, go ahead. Our Queen's Prizes are really cool. Do you have Queen's Prizes in your kingdom?
No.
So it's a really great event. It is an event that is hosted by the Queen, and she invites all her ladies of the roses to join. We make little tokens, personalized tokens, or little gifts, and all the artisans in the kingdom participate and enter their art. The neat part about it is not a collegium and it's not a competition. It is for everyone just to come out. People that are new and just aren't sure and just want to get into the feel of how it is to display some artwork. And behind the Queen, all the ladies of the roses go around and we support everyone and look at all their stuff. So it's a really cool participation.
It's a great way for people to kind of like not feel pressured. So it's really good for those that are first starting out or they're not quite sure where they're going with it.
Nobody beats them up.
Yeah, it's a great event. So
we have a newish event that Master Charles started that based on something that he did in his previous kingdom called Athenaeum, which is specifically for non-laurels to display and receive comment and visit with other people who are on their same path, you know, an artist path. And that's a very cool event. And we have guilds that do things. We have a costumers guild. So there's like different types of events that'll occur. But I think part of the problem we have here is because we have, we used to have 3 principalities and now we have 2. So we have a full schedule of principality events plus kingdom events. And it's sometimes difficult to schedule events that are big, you know, multi-regional events here because it's difficult to schedule, literally. And getting the crown to attend something is difficult because there's so many demands on their schedule. So it's one of the benefits of principalities being made kingdoms is that suddenly that calendar does clear up quite a lot and you can have more of those types of events. So.
Right. And our kingdom has talked about it multiple times. The North versus the South, neither wants to be the principality. Geographically, we're a large kingdom, but in numbers, I love the concept of principalities because today's day and age, before the pandemic, I mean, it's getting harder and harder to travel, attend events. So gosh, I can't imagine what it'd be like to have 2 principalities.
Yeah, well, and we used to have the third, which was, you know, Alberta and Edmonton, and they've become a kingdom.
Wow.
We still have British Columbia, and which I think that one also includes part of. Sorry, Ontario, I'm getting my Canadian geography wrong. I can't remember if Ontario includes, Thierry includes part of Edmonton, I believe it does. And then Saskatchewan, I think now is part of Avocal. But, and then we have this Southern Oregon is a principality. But But I think the thing that's different here is that our geographic area has historically been huge, but our population's also huge here. And so we
Huge.
have a
Yeah.
number of urban centers and then also less populous areas that we just have a
That
ton
need
of
that
people
support. Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
We have a ton of people. So, but the principalities can be a mixed blessing because they both create an opportunity for people to play at that local level, but then also it creates more bulk, like more events on the calendar.
Right.
And you know, when you reign and you're really trying hard to get out to all of these different groups and try and travel as much as you can, it can be prohibitively expensive. And since we have an international border in Ontario, we also have a travel funds that are provided to the crowns. Otherwise, they just wouldn't be able to do it. It would be
Impossible.
impossible. So it, you know, and it would also not be equitable because it would mean only people with deep financial resources would be eligible to reign.
Right.
And that's not fair when we already, it's already an expensive hobby. So
It is. And one of the things that with the Outlands, when you submit your letter of intent, you do have to agree to be able to have funds to support your own travel, but we do have a Kingdom Travel Fund as well.
Yeah.
And of course, we do have to do fundraisers as Crown to replenish the coffers. But at the same time, I, in my wildest dreams, can't imagine how big your kingdom would have been to take care of. Although I love Victoria. We always take the ferry over, and it's one of our favorite hangouts.
Yeah.
We so
that's the barony of Seagirt.
Ooh, oh, beautiful.
They have part of Thierry.
Does Alaska belong to Antier? Because it's a principality or
it's a Oertha is part of the West.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's weird.
So as a former princess of a principality of the West, I can speak to that because I was a princess of Sonagua. So
well, there's one we know. We're not that far away. And the mists.
Yep. So well, let's keep going through these photos because we have quite a few of them. So these are nice too.
Yeah, just Giovanni and I as king and queen.
Love that.
Tell Gio to bust that belt out more often.
Yeah. So this is Mistress Tatiana. I actually, my laurel is for metalwork, but I did make her actual MOD. She became a Master of Defense, Mistress of Defense. And so I actually made her stepping up garb and her medallion, which is solid silver, so it was pretty shiny. She was a good friend of ours. She was my chivalry, rapier chivalry, and so we just have always remained friends. And I think that's the coolest part about having reigned is the friendships that you develop.
Mm-hmm.
So, and there's Xander as a puppy.
Such a floof. Look at that.
He is. He's so little. He drove all the way to like Hobbs, New Mexico with us in the car and to go to an event. You know, if you can't take your dogs,
it's hard.
Sometimes we can't, but we tend to take our puppies. Oh, there's it. Now that was puppy Xander, and that's old man Xander, and that's Sabrina with her mommy, Countess Catherine. You know, everybody falls in love with Newfies when you bring them around enough, and she ended up getting a puppy from the same breeder, and her puppy grew up in the STA too.
And the mandatory drool is.
And the mandatory drool. You know, I have a lot of silk that has to be dry cleaned because of that.
Yep.
Just get used to it. So these are the mugs that the Kiva Han makes. We have a local potter, and we create the stamps and designs. And 2 years ago at Estrella, the Kiva Han sold mugs. These are fundraisers. And I'll tell you what, there's a collection out there from all the Battlemores that Joel was talking about. This one is actually the Atenvelt sun with a stag meshed together. It was a really important year for all of us. We got rained out. I sat in the rain and the sleet and sold mugs. And then called uncle and went home.
Oops.
Go ahead. Oh, wait,
This
Kivahan
one.
mug. Yeah. So that's of course, our motto. So we had to have a stamp of that. And if you bought a Kivahan mug, it was free coffee for life.
Oh.
So the fundraiser is neat. The coffee is donation only. You could throw $1 in the cup, but you buy the mug, and that's how we did the fundraising.
Lovely. So now we're going to go through these fairly quickly because we're going to run out of time otherwise, but you have some amazing art photos, and people who want to go back and look at them in more detail can just pause the video and look at them more carefully. So this one, I think I matched some of them. I tried to match up. I didn't do it perfectly, but I was.
Oh no, you're awesome. You did. I was like, wow.
So that's this one, which is very cool. So these are cornets that you've made.
Wow.
Really beautiful.
Yeah, those are all real garnet or rubies, emeralds, sapphires. They're all real stones.
Beautiful. That's
a pricey little piece right there.
Oops.
I did not make the one on the left. I did make Countess Drahamaris. That was that was a combat cornet. Hers didn't get done before. I'm a combat cornet maker too, which is not a good thing. Not when you're an artist, but it's like a combat scribe. Oh, hey, that scroll didn't get done, or last minute we're going to offer this or award someone. And bless her heart, her husband called me and he said, hers is not going to get done. Can I borrow one of yours? And I was like, no, because I have a lot of cornets, by the way. But so I did that one probably in about 3 days.
Wonderful.
And it's all cut work. Yeah.
Good.
Aw, Timmer and Tiana.
Timmer's who recognized me, by the way.
So my good friend Countess EOB, Elizabeth O'Byrne, wanted to learn to make cornets. So we spent a lot of time, me teaching her. And yeah, Timmer and Tiana. Wow, 2007. Oh, this is amazing. I have to talk about this one. This gentleman is a good friend who's since passed away, but Baron Douglas came to me. He was like my father, my Laurel, that was I think he was my granddad in the lineage line. But anyway, he brought me this beautiful design of the Crown of Lombardy and said, I want something like this. And he drew it all out. And that is over, I don't know how many stones now. I think like 130 some stones. Each one is handmade bezel on plates. And then I riveted them onto another plate. And that's actually gold plated. So there's a difference between gold plate and electroplate in the metal world. And this one I actually had dipped in an industrial car factory where they have huge vats of gold. And we do a lot of my cornets actually gold too, not electroplated, but real gold plate. And they literally dip them like automobile parts, like Mercedes emblems. If the rich and famous want gold ones, they dip them down into these vats.
Wow.
And you clean them with Windex. They never tarnish. Antier would like that. That's Aaron, Master Aaron. His is all rubies.
Yeah, I couldn't match it to one of the other photos, unfortunately, but so they're not from here on out matched very well. So.
That is Master Aaron's because
is it?
That's the mid realm. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nailed it. Look at you go.
Did. I'm so impressed.
It was blurry. Yeah. So I was like, well, this kind of looks like it. So
yeah.
All right.
10 out of 10. Good job.
This is great. The peacocks.
Oh, yeah. That's Countess Ingrid. That was also a combat cornet. they were getting ready to step down, and Rothgar called me and said, "You got a cornet I can borrow?" And I'm like, "I'll make one." I made that in like 3 days, and it's cut work, so it was a rush job, but it's cut work.
That's
that was for a gal that had an Indian persona.
Cool. Yeah.
Timur and Tiana's friends that were named after them, and she liked butterflies, so we drilled holes and put butterflies in her cornet. Oh, I can't think of their names.
Oh, here's the same ones.
Timur and Tiana. So Tiana's was originally a court barony hat I made her, and then I just riveted on the crenellated roses. Baronial. That's gold plated.
Love it.
Yeah, we dipped them all. Oh, that was a cool one. I can't remember his name. I've made like 20. So, oh, that one is Countess Claudia. So those stags on the front of that are actually the original stags on the traditional Outlands crowns that are only used during our coronations now. They've been retired since then. And you did have to get special permission to use that plate. I have it, and so does Claudia. We're the only two.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's pretty.
Yeah, that was a Persian friend, Mr. Salbrel. Ex-Baroness friend. We were B&B together. Oh, and that was husband and wife, the mermaids and the thistles. Those are gold. Yeah. And the Fontaine, Barony of Fontaine. It's got a fountain on it.
Yep. There's the same one.
Yeah, gold plate. Oh, those are earrings with laurel wreaths reverse cut out. So a good friend of mine has an Indian persona. Her name is Mistress Meenakshi, and she has a lot of India persona friends back east. And so every time they were offered something, laurel, I would make them something. Those are actually earrings documented. I have the extent information on them, and I hand wired those with 14 karat gold wire. Tedious.
Yeah, I bet.
Wow.
And that one actually has in his forehead reverse cut out of a laurel wreath. And that one was Lakshmi, Mistress Lakshmi, and sapphire rings. This is our Walker the Way, which is our you're the coolest person and have you're the example of what we should be in the SCA. So I made a bunch of Walker medallions.
The Walker is the Outlands equivalent of the lion, basically.
Got it.
And that was my girlfriend Meenakshi, and that's a reverse laurel wreath with peacocks.
It's gorgeous.
They're all amulets that I made.
Yeah.
Those are garter. You string a garter through them and tie them on your leg or your arm.
Yeah.
That is the Outlands rose with a dove, which is our symbol of our princess. So she had a tournament, and I made her a bunch of favors. Mahadi, that is, yes, that's a turban pin. That's the MOD medallion I made. Sterling. That is a Persian pelican I made for my student, my apprentice, who ended up getting offered a pelican. I did the same thing. I took on to be a apprentice and ended up being offered a pelican.
But I've had that happen twice.
Yes. Yes. And that's my famous fur hat. I make those all the time and give them out as gifts at auctions or prize tournaments. I made a set of those for the crown of Aitenfeld.
I don't have a Cainnleach hat. I have a Cainnleach coat. I don't have a Cainnleach hat. I'm just saying.
He's just saying. He's just
I'm just casually saying that I don't have a Cainnleach hat, you know.
Pick your color and I will make you a Cainnleach hat.
Oh,
Do you know
witness.
fur I have downstairs. I should do something with it.
It's going to be Newfie fur and it will smell like dog when it gets wet. Are you okay with that, Joel?
Totally fine with that. Why wouldn't I be okay with
Hey,
that?
now, all my weaver friends have offered. I mean, I've saved lots of bags of Newfie hair. I
Yep.
can make you a lovely scarf.
I tell all of my artisan friends that if they make it, I'll use it. I'll wear it. They can be goofy, whatever. You Lance Connect hot pants, whatever. I'll wear them.
Oh
It's cool,
yeah.
man. I'm down to party. So, well, your art is just absolutely amazing. I absolutely love it. You know, I'm trying to think. So, you know, it's been so long since we know. So, for anyone watching that may not know, you know, we have a long history together, and you were very fundamental in me becoming who I am and always being there, and just a huge guiding hand in my life. You know, as I said, you're my SCA mom. For
Don't
those that
make
don't
me
know,
cry.
you know, I'm not going to call you a grandmom because no, but but Gio is my granddad, and you know, you were such a huge influence on it, and also in my vigil, you were one of two people that actually made me cry. Just so you know, you got that going on. Um,
I
you
love
know,
you.
I love you so much too. And you know, one of the questions that we have is that um, what do you think? You know, the pandemic's been really kind of harsh on the SCA, and you know, people have been striving to find new ways. What do you think the SCA is going to look like on the other side of the pandemic, or what do you want? What do you hope it looks like after we can start getting together again?
That's a really, really in-depth question.
Right?
Um, you know, the pause of the pandemic has, I think, changed us so much. I mean, people have missed their friends and family dearly. I probably think, and I think more of the positive and the need to all socialize again. One of the reasons that we joined the SCA, probably all of us, is because we're that oddball group of people that just wanted to be accepted and have friends. And for whatever reason. And I think after the pandemic, we're going to start out slow. Um, we work in healthcare, so fortunately, we've had the opportunity to have our vaccines already. I know some states are slower than others. I know it's going to be a huge debate on do you have to show your vaccine card, or you know what the lawyers of the board of directors and the board of directors will come up with, but I think we're all going to just cling to each other like little monkeys. I think we are going to miss each other so much. I can't tell you how many random Facebook messages I get, and everybody's like, I just miss you. I just want a hug. I just want to see you, you know? So I think
Yeah.
it's going to start out slow. I think everyone is probably, we're used to not being in someone's 3-foot circle. I mean, that's going to be weird at first because we've been told to stay out of that 3 foot. And I think the pandemic will be around long enough that unless I know them personally, I will probably stay within my 3 foot. I know the CDC did come out and say 3 foot is acceptable now. But I can guarantee you, maybe not with everyone, but my friends, I'm going to hug them.
Oh yeah. So
Just hold your breath when you do it.
yeah,
Huh?
and
Just hold your breath.
Right. And I think we're still going to wear masks.
Yeah.
yeah, I'm a huge hugger. I've always been a big hugger, and so like I think that's going to be the hardest thing, is because I'm just going to be really excited to see my friends and be like and then I'll have to remember that I have new friends like my favorite heckler, Duchess, who's not a hugger, and
I'm
I'm
not
going to
much of a
constantly
hugger.
remind
You're
myself.
not a hugger? Oh, I'm totally a hugger.
Hugs hurt me. They hurt my joints, and people
Yeah.
don't always know how to gauge
Right.
Oh
according.
no, I'm not like a squisher hugger like that at
No.
all. Like,
I'm
I
really
never got.
short, so I end up in a lot of people's armpits.
I'm short too. How tall are you?
I'm 5'2" if I stand up straight.
Me
So
too.
Yeah. So that's always been a problem. And, also in the SCA, people don't always,
Personal space,
personal
there's
space
that.
and boundaries. And I've been picked up by a lot of people where I'm like,
Yeah.
I didn't tell you you could pick me up. What made you think that was okay with me? There's nothing about that that's okay with me. So,
Yeah, I
having to
totally get
face
it.
that down and, the whole idea of someone can be well-intentioned and also still create a really uncomfortable or even harmful situation for somebody.
I totally agree. I've been picked up and hugged, and there's no comfortable sense of that. But I've also learned my own body language. Like if someone's coming up that I don't know, I'll, nicely, not defensively, just cross my arms in front of me in a relaxed state. And it keeps people from, because you're right, not everybody's a hugger. I'm a huge hugger, but they have to come to me or I won't hug them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it just really depends. And I do appreciate it when people ask and and they are gracious about if someone's like, I'd rather not right now. It's almost never about you.
No,
it's almost always about where I am. But also, if you're somebody that's sensitive just in general,
there are people with
that kind of physical contact can be really problematic. So
I've watched it change through the years. It used to be
agreed.
people were much more open about things, and the SCA, just society as whole, has evolved differently. And you're right, people were not aware that maybe it was a medical condition, and maybe they were uncomfortable emotionally or physically from a hug. So
right. And it's that idea of ask culture. That some people, feel that by asking for something, they're entitled to some kind of positive reception. And that's also very problematic. So I think we're a work in progress as a society, both our modern society as well as the SCA, trying to live up to our ideals of courtesy, which sometimes include recognizing that other people have really firm boundaries, that respecting those boundaries, it's a sign of respect that they were able to tell us what they are in the first place. Like, always remember that if someone tells you what their boundaries are, it's because they trust you not to reject them.
Yes.
They trust you enough that you are like, oh, I can respect that boundary of yours. And thank you. Thank you for trusting me with that and knowing that I'd still be your friend.
Right. And especially meeting people now with Joel, I'm going to run up and probably grab him around the neck and give him a big kiss after everybody is, and we're looking at least another year.
Yeah.
So actually this might work out well for us in the long run.
I think you're right. It's like a big reset button where we can kind of step back and think about this stuff. Yeah.
Right. Right.
And maybe we will have better hand washing facilities at events, because Joel's heard me talk about this before. When we were reigning, because the Crowns here sit on the financial committee, and so the Crowns help to approve event bids that come through. And I made the requirement that they all had to have hand washing stations if it was chemical toilets. And I'm a really big, staunch advocate of always having hand washing stations provided for people, even though they're a mess and they're expensive.
We have hand washing stations too, and I'm an autocrat by nature. And mundanely, I worked for a cardiothoracic surgeon.
Yep.
I lived in a sterile life. And I'll tell you what, I love the hand washing stations. That should be the first on every kingdom's agenda.
The thing we don't want to recreate of the Middle Ages is dysentery. It's totally period and totally unnecessary. Please, please wash your hands. And now we know, of course, like we've gotten all this great messaging about how important hand washing
is.
That's right. And
sanitizer pumps right next to those stations. When we're out camping, it's kind of a nice, refreshing feeling to put some alcohol on your hands and clean them and cool them off.
That's right. So there's lots of things that we can be doing a little differently. And now maybe it'll be more justifiable to get that expense on those event bids.
There is a silver lining to this.
That's right.
And I 100% agree. Hand washing for every porta-john, every 3 porta-johns should have a station.
Well, so let's we're running a little late because that's the way we always do it here. We never
Sorry.
manage to stay to an hour because we love talking with people. Let me ask you a kind of a big question to follow up on Joel's, and that is, in the SCA, you're a Duchess, you've been a territorial baroness, you're a laurel and a pelican. Your accomplishments are huge, but that also means that you've already done a lot of things aspirationally in the society. So I'm always curious what keeps you going in the SCA. And a lot of people say the people, I get it, but maybe think a little bit beyond just your friendships. What continues to inspire you and what you continue to work and strive for, especially the ways that you use your privilege of all of that pile of privilege that you've accumulated. How do you use that in the SCA to make it better for people?
Oh, wow. Oof, that is a deep question.
20 seconds should be fine.
Oh, sure.
I'm just kidding.
So, it's always the people for everyone, but what really gives us the opportunity with the titles and the experiences that we've gone through, I would say we have to always remind ourselves it's about the newcomers. It's about building all of the camaraderie that we looked at to go to events when we were new. And so to me, that's what I have to always inspire about, making myself better as a peer. And I like running events and I like volunteering because it really gets you out there. Even if it's one rapier tournament that you're going to just sit down and help someone. With our titles, I can look around and maybe make something happen that no one else can. Maybe they're running late, or that somebody needs to run down and ask Her Majesty if she possibly is still going to be able to make it to the tournament. That's what gives us that privilege, is to say, I could do that for you. I'll go down and I'll ask Her Majesty. She might be in the middle of something, but perhaps I could convince her to hurry up. We're all waiting for you. And as a royal peer, I would hope she trusts me on that. The other thing that I really think it gives us the opportunity, as we've played for, 25 years, where things count. And if there's a tournament that people are having a hard time gathering prizes for, sometimes my ability to step up and call all my Laurel friends and say, this tournament really needs prizes. How many are you going to volunteer donating?
Yeah.
So you have to take your titles and appreciate and feel honored that maybe it gives you access to a few more things to make things better, or look a little more sparkly, or just make things happen. Yeah. Sometimes others struggle, or mentor someone that really is so afraid. My husband and I love mentoring. There's nothing better in this organization.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I try to use my powers for good, and to mentor somebody by serving as an example.
All these years I don't go by my titles much, and I could think of 2 times all these years I've turned around and said, and that's your grace to you, because they were being a butthead, and there was a reason I said that, because I'm Cainnleach. You can ask Joel. I don't really run around with the titles.
Yeah, I get it.
You're pretty low key, but you've always just been really good at keeping people in check if they start going too far, and you have to, considering your husband.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm a mother of 2 boys your age. Yeah.
But yeah, you were
2 boys your age, Joel.
Yeah.
2 children.
Well, I mean, she was able to keep my knight in check, and she was able to help keep me. Well, help put me in check and then keep me in check as I grew up, say in the SCA. So I mean,
Oh,
you know,
you're
it's
so awesome. Uh-oh, there goes the newfie call.
your turn. So
That's only two newfies.
Do you have a final question that you want to
yeah.
formulate before we close up here?
So I remember very clearly what you said in my vigil, but one of the questions that I like to ask is, what is the core of the advice, without being specific, you know, because no one's catered, but what's the core of the advice that you like to impart on someone when you poke your head into someone that's someone's vigil and it's about to be recognized for whatever peerage it may be, but like what's the gist of it? What's the
What's the gist? Um, having held quite a few positions and you set the example. Peerages to me are the example. If you read the description of what Kapora has set out as peers of the society, anyone that is in a position that they're, for lack of better explanation, a fishbowl. Everybody's looking in the fishbowl. And as a peer, when you accept that accolade, everyone is looking to you to be their example. There's never a time that someone is not watching and hoping to catch a glimpse of what you represent as a knight, or you represent as a laurel or a pelican or a master of defense. And so to me, once you accept that honor, you're always on. You always have to lead by example. You never know who's going to watch you. No one's perfect. I am not perfect. No one is. We all have our moments. But for the most part, the reason people come to play and they love the beauty of our game and the mystery and the history and everything that's involved is because they're looking at peers to see what it is. So that would be my visual. Lead by example. Always know there's someone watching and give it your all. Don't quit. It's not I finally got my peerage and now it's time to quit. Now it's time to really show people what you can do with your peerage.
And the thing that I think scared the most for me it scared me when I realized is that eventually someday I'm going to be the first knight someone ever meets.
Yes.
And how I behave that day, whether I'm having a good day, a bad day, whatever it is, that can impact how they view my order for the rest of their SCA career. Whether, and no matter what it is, and that, like, when I've had that first realization, that scared the crap out of me, man.
No, that's very cool.
Because, yeah, I mean, I remember the first night I met. I remember the first Laurel I ever met. I remember the first Pelican I ever met. I remember the first Royals I ever met. And someday that peer in their vigil, no matter who it is, what order it is, they're going to be the first peer somebody meets in their SCA career.
Wow, that's very profound. That's one I've never realized.
Scares the
I
shit
could
out of
be, yeah. You could be the first knight. That person, and they will imprint that in their thought process forever.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if I'm having a bad day on the field and I get upset at myself for missing a shot I think was good, they're going to remember that. Or if I'm having a good day and I'm just being the normal goofball that I am, they're going to remember that. Or how I carry myself at Merchants Row, whatever the case is. Like,
you're one of the most chivalrous men I've ever met in my life.
Well, thank you. It's been a long road. So
yeah, but wow, that's only because you moved around a lot. The joys of military.
No, I had a lot of growth I needed to get through.
Well, we all do, but military doesn't help. Colorado Springs is an entire military town.
Mhm.
And we've watched so many people just almost reach that level and then they're sent somewhere else. So
Yeah, we have a lot of military in Ontario.
yeah, yeah.
And that's a whole conversation deserving of its own thing. But and actually, it's when we do an
Yes.
interview with like the DEI, like a bunch of members of the DEI, but that's another thing. That's because that's a whole separate conversation, I think, on where
Yeah.
what it's going and how it can, you know, how it's changed even recently. So
That's right.
Phew. Yeah.
Army brat right here. So
Yeah.
well, this has been really lovely, and
Mhm.
we so appreciate your time. You've been so generous with us, and all of the photos, and just being able to dive a little bit more into some of Outlands kingdom anthropology, and getting to see sort of what your life is like there. That is really fun for us, but also just hearing about your values and the way that you
Yeah.
operate in the SCA as a peer. It's really important for us to know that as well. So thank you so much for sharing.
Yeah.
This would be the time normally, if we were all sitting in state, that we would exchange gift baskets with each other. And so we prep a virtual gift basket that we can put anything we want in it because it's not real. So my people would have asked you already what some of your preferences were, but since I didn't do that, I have to make some assumptions. But first, I would want to know if you're a milk or dark chocolate person.
Oh, I'm milk.
I feel like Joel should be answering this. He should know this
He
already.
should know all this.
Right, milk
okay,
chocolate.
let's try it. I
And
knew the
then
milk.
red or white wine.
Red.
Right.
Red. Okay. And
Okay,
I already
well, that's
know.
it.
I already know puppies are kittens, so
Yep,
that's
puppy.
pretty obvious. So
Although she has a really beautiful, she has a few really beautiful cats too.
I have Bengals.
Yeah,
okay.
which are huge, but puppies
All right.
definitely.
All right, so we've prepared for you a beautiful gift basket that, first of all, does not have handles because I am very anti baskets with handles, because you can't pack them in your car, right?
No.
Right,
Right.
Joel? You're learning these
True.
things.
I guess it's true. I keep hearing it, so.
I mean, if I could just give you a giant bread bowl, I would do that. So you don't even have to take it home with you. You could just like compost it. But anyway, so we will make sure that you have some wonderful milk chocolate. And I'm going to say we have a lot of good chocolate in the Pacific Northwest, but it's very dark chocolate focused. So instead, I'm going to pick out for you some of my favorite like Swiss and German chocolates that I ate when I was growing up, that are like, they melt as soon as you leave them in the sun. Like you have to eat them.
Yes.
You have to keep them in your cooler. And they're, all those really expensive ones that they sell at like Cost Plus World Market and places.
Yes.
Like that. That's what I grew up with. And then we came back to the United States and we were like,
disappointed.
This is so
right.
gross.
Oh, I bet it was huge culture shock.
So I will select some for you. And then we have wonderful red wine in Washington State now, thanks to climate change.
Yes.
Our wine culture has really taken off. So I will find you some kind of really lovely mid-price blend that you're not afraid to open and have with like a casual dinner at home. You don't have
we
to
have
save.
Wine all the time with he's
this
Italian.
is not one you would have to save for nice, but it's good enough to open if you wanted to with it.
That sounds wonderful.
So we'll get you something Horse Heaven Hills or something something nice from Eastern Washington. And then I think what I would give you is a lifetime subscription to like a fur removal service of some kind. Like I'm thinking, they send you supplies to your house, and then maybe there's a person who comes out periodically,
rolls it for me,
and does it for you. Yeah.
Like a fanboy. Could I get like a fanboy only?
It's like a pool, yeah, except for fur. Yeah. And there's an extension service for when you go to events, all of the like lint rollers and brushes and everything you need to maintain your beautiful attire without any kind of pet fur in it. I think that would be pretty cool.
That is amazing. I would love that.
That
yeah. I do need, it does have to be a fanboy, only a lint roll boy.
Okay. Yep. Yep. What do you think,
Perfect.
Joel? Do you have anything you want to add to this virtual gift basket?
Well, I mean, since you said it, and I actually, it reminded me that I need to find it, but somewhere around here, I actually have a couple yards of silk that I got in Afghanistan, and I have no idea what the point of origin is for it, but I got it while I was over there in a trade, and I
He
do
knows.
actually have a couple yards somewhere
Oh,
around here.
way to change the total game by
Way to
offering
up the
something to really
ante.
give to her. I mean,
Well, I mean, it's important to show the right gifts and
That's
stuff. And I mean, like, I'm in Iowa, so all I can really offer otherwise is like whiskey, because we have corn, a lot of corn.
that's
I can give you
okay.
corn.
She might need to clean some wounds or something.
So,
Yeah.
well,
On that note,
on that note, Your Grace, thank you so much for joining us this week. This was so much fun. I really enjoyed it. It was so good to see you again and
I
see AJ.
miss you.
You know, I miss you too. It was so good to see you guys, and we miss you so much. For everyone watching from home, thank you so much for your time. This was great. This was a fun conversation, and I genuinely enjoyed it. Join us all next week where we will be interviewing Duchess Isabella Grant of Artemisia. And I'm going to throw out my normal disclaimers of renew your membership, be kind to each other, wear your mask, believe in science. You know we love you, and we will see everybody next week. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Your Grace.
Bye.